So here we are again, Remembrance Day. It's not good to forget because I really don't believe a lot of the people that fought in that war had much of a choice. There's a similar situation going on in Ukraine. I don't believe the Ukrainian people have much of a choice either. They can either hand over their country or try and defend it. So you would think after all these years we would have learned, but apparently we haven't. In fact, we've increased our weaponry many, many times over. So that's one problem, and that problem actually is a big contributing factor to our global warming situation. When you have all these machines burning all its fuel and all these weapons blowing up everywhere, it doesn't help the situation anyway. So hopefully that will be resolved in the near future. The other thing that I touched upon before was the financial system, and I'd like to give just a little history of the Bank of Canada. In 1933, I think it was, there was a Royal Commission on Banking, and the first governor of the Bank of Canada was asked by a parliamentarian, if we instructed you to print $1 billion tomorrow, would you? And the Bank of Canada governor said, yes, I would, because I have to obey the Parliament. This would have been interest-free, debt-free money. This, over the years, has been eroded, where private interests have convinced government that they don't know how to run finances. So what we've ended up with is a total monopoly on our money supply. And it is controlled by a very small number of people. Just for example, if there was a Bank of Canada branch in every town and someone wanted to start a business or build a house, and they went to that bank and said, I need this so many $200,000 for build this house, there would be a board that would assess the person whether or not they were, capable. If they decided they would lend that money to this person who wants to build a house for his family, there would be no interest. There would just be an administration fee, and it would last for the duration of the house, let's say 50 years. So there would be a payment coming out every month and no interest, and this payment would be all paid off, the $200,000, after 50 years. This house could be sold, but that payment, you could call it debt, would remain with the house. So this is a balanced system. The money goes into the system, it represents something. When that something is done, the money is back out of the system. It's called a balanced system. Now we have this free-for-all where anyone, like credit card companies, banks, the central bank in Canada isn't doing and creating our money supply. They just raise and lower interest rates and think they're controlling things, but actually they are going through this cycle over and over again where they are destroying people's lives and their hopes. So the money system definitely has to be fixed. If you considered all the money that is, Powerball in the States just recently was $2 billion. Well, so one person is going to, I think, has won that. And this fever, this gambling fever, this money for nothing situation is, it's not sustainable. I mean, it just causes inflation. So the other thing that really has set off my alarm bells is the climate and the state of our planet. Now, I just really think that if all of this energy that was put into destroying each other and into weapons was put into looking after the planet, we would have paradise on earth. And hopefully these countries will realize that in my mind, it won't be too long before the coastal airports will be flooded and the coastal ports will be flooded. So, you know, I've always been a bit against this air travel because it seeds the upper atmosphere and puts all that carbon right into the upper atmosphere, and it definitely affects our weather. So some people will say, oh, no, that's not the case. It's just a natural phenomenon. It's happened for, you know, years and years and years. Yeah, well, it did happen. The Earth is approximately 6 billion years old, and scientists have determined that it froze over completely 3 times in that 6 billion years. And the reason why it froze over is because the carbon was taken out of the atmosphere by a great, huge amount of plant life and algae. So it froze because it cooled off, because the heat wasn't trapped. So what happened to break that cycle was a huge amount of volcanoes, a series of volcanoes, and the Earth heated up again. Now, this took, you know, millions of years to happen. Now we've set this thing in motion in, you know, a little over 100 years. We've speeded it up really phenomenally. The Secretary General of the United Nations gave this speech at the COP27 conference in Egypt, and he said we're headed for climate hell. And I tend to agree with him. I think he's right. He mentioned the tipping point, like some people are under the illusion that we haven't hit the tipping point yet, and I think we're quite beyond the tipping point. So it is something that I find totally alarming, and I do what I can to raise awareness on that. The other thing I'd like to stress is miracles are happening and are possible. And if you go to my YouTube vlog and scroll down to my original 3 videos, you will see 3 miracles that happened to me. So I know they're possible. Some Christians think that, you know, God is going to fix everything and Jesus is going to come back and he's going to rejuvenate the earth and clean up the mess. Well, I think God does exist, and I think Jesus is available, his spirit. There's also, and angels also can influence us. But I don't, and I believe if we make an effort, we will be given some encouragement and some help possibly, but we do have to make the effort. So again, it's a beautiful day in the park. I found it fairly encouraging, the election in the U.S. The extremes didn't appear to win, and didn't go, you know, the great Republican wave didn't happen. I'm not saying that the Democrats are perfect either, but it appears that the Americans possibly are moving away from extreme isms. So that is hopeful. And I just want to stress that let's not give up. Let's keep hoping. Let's not let all the bad news ruin our day. So happy Remembrance Day and have a good day. Thank you.